Hi, welcome to Highway Church. I'm Pastor Janine here of the church, and I just want to acknowledge dear family and friends that have come today to remember a beautiful man in Warren. I've heard the family share various stories the last few days, and he's dearly loved. He was cheeky apparently, yes? Yeah, there'll be lots of stories to share over afternoon tea, I reckon, today. But we just welcome you. We hope you feel comfortable. And today, rather than calling it a funeral, I like to refer to it as a celebration of life. It's a moment to celebrate who he was and how dear he was to each of us. We just acknowledge we also have an online recording of the funeral, so you can go to our YouTube account, Highway Church Bordertown, and share this in future with those that can't be here in the room right now. Thanks to Sarah and Adele from Wattle Range Funerals as well. Thank you for hosting. As I said, today is a moment of thanksgiving and celebration of Warren Keith Palmer. What a beautiful photo of this man. Just precious. Captured him well. A life he lived surrounded by family and friends, as we can see here, and those online as well. He was dearly loved. Today you've lost something of great value. And Warren's last day on earth was with his family by his side in the room. He wasn't alone, this man. And now we cherish the memories that you had with him, the life he lived. That last time you ate pizza with him in the hospital, shared a memory, a fond memory Jacinta shared with others. Your last visit with him at the lodge in Kingston maybe a visit to the hospital, or maybe a visit in his home. These are the memories we hold on to, but we cherish. Memories of Warren as a child come back to mind, no doubt. Warren as a teenager, and now Warren as a man. I would like to read the eulogy prepared by Rebecca Grellett and Gary, a bit of a story of Warren's life. Warren Keith Palmer was born on 11th of May 1961 in Warrnambool, Victoria. He was born on Mother's Day, which was perfect because he really was the apple of his mother's eye. Warren was the oldest son of Dorothy and Gary, and much loved big brother to Tammy, Trevor, Ricky, Jacinta, and Venice. Warren's childhood was a happy one, and he spent his early years living on farms at both Purnham and Kaniva, where he loved to tinker around the place and first found his love for motorbikes, particularly Freddie. If you know, you know, haha. Freddie was a Kawasaki and Warren's most beloved motorbike, and a subject of many stories over the years. Who's heard one of those stories? Yeah, there's a few smiles around the room. Warren was a popular and fun guy growing up and had many friends and girlfriends, apparently. He loved hanging out with his mates and was always having a good time. He enjoyed his football playing for the Leor team and even scored a few senior footy games while still playing in the under-17s. Warren was involved in a terrible accident when he was 17 years old, and at that time he wasn't expected to survive. This was a very traumatic time for Warren and his family, and is a true statement of Warren's strength and fighting spirit, as he not only pulled through, but he went on to live to the age of 63, giving his family decades of cherished memories with him. Most of Warren's adult life he lived in Bordertown with his parents Dot and Gary, and many people would remember Warren's office over the years, which was like a black hole for cassette tapes, electronics, toys, and anything else he found to be interesting or needing fixing, including watches, I believe, as seen at the back table. Dot was forever reminding the kids not to leave their stuff laying around if they didn't want Warren to take it upon himself to fix it for them. Warren eventually moved into the lodge in Kingston. He loved living in Kingston and really thrived there, making many friends and always getting out and about in the community. Whenever he was out, everyone seemed to know his name and would always say hello to him or stop for a chat. He had his wonderful housemates Damien and Jackie, who he loved, as well as many amazing carers, which are all pictured in the photo wall at the back. Would always keep them entertained by telling jokes and playing tricks. He even chopped up spicy food and put it in their dinner one time when it was his turn to cook, which he thought was a great laugh. Everyone who knew Warren knew how playful he was, a stirrer of the pot. His mum always said she would buy him a wooden spoon since he loved to stir so much. He was great at woodworking and won first prize at the Kingston show multiple times for his amazing wooden creations. Also at the table, there's some at the back, which you'll see on your way in. He also won prizes for his baking on many occasions, which might surprise some of his family because he was well known for not sticking to recipes and making them better, which always surprised him when they failed. Another thing everyone will fondly remember of Warren is his love for music and singing along. It would never matter where he was or who was around. If a good Susie Quattro or Skyhooks or any other 70s or 80s even songs were playing, he would belt out the lyrics full volume, always a few words ahead of the music playing. I love that. Warren's family and friends will no doubtedly find that world is a sadder place without him in their lives. But it's safe to say that he touched every one of them and left them with an abundance of memories that they will cherish forever. Beautifully written, very precious. I would like to welcome up some family and friends to share some memories of Warren. And firstly, I'd like to invite up Jacinta, if you would like to come up. I think we can wait. I like this part of a funeral in hearing the stories. I think this is very dear, hearing the family and friends sharing. You really get a picture of who Warren is and bring back those memories. As was mentioned in the eulogy, was spoken about the Kingston Lodge, and this was such a place that is well spoken of. So those that are here from Kingston today, yeah, we thank you. Thank you, Jacinta.
This one's for you, Woz. I was only around 10 years old when you had your car accident. You were only 17. I don't remember much of your personality before then, but I'm sure it was as vibrant as the day you left us. You were the most caring, loving person that I think I'd ever met. You managed to make everyone that knew you and care for you literally fall in love with you. Your face would light up when I entered your room at the hospital. It really made my day to see your toothy smile. You were my brother, my big brother, and I will always admire your strength and courage. You never complained about your pain because you never wanted to be a burden. I know Mum was here with you, mate. I'm sure you felt her presence. She left life early to pave the way for you, boy. The love between a brother and a sister is a very special bond that can't be broken. Our bond I will hold forever. We always talked about your motorbikes and the crazy things we did. I will always remember you telling me at the end that you wanted to come back as a rabbit. I got a tattoo of that rabbit for you, Woz, giving me a high five. I showed you every day for the last week, and you gave me the same reaction. I love it. Every single nurse adored you, Woz. You were so special. I will never forget the day Bud came to see you with his boombox and we played your music so damn loud you could hear it at the front door. You sang in your own quirky way and your smile I will never forget. Every day I would walk into your room and you'd say, "Hey Jake, what's your name?" And every day you would tell me that you loved me and don't ever forget it. You were so brave and I'm so glad you let me be with you through it all. I promise, Mum, I would take care of you until the end, and boy, did we go through lots together. Thank you for letting the family be by your side when you left us. I know you knew we were there. You stopped breathing, darling, and my heart broke once more. You taught me to love endlessly and not to be afraid of anything. You are at peace now, Was, sitting with Mum and Tam drinking coffee and watching over us. It's not goodbye, Was. I'll see you again. Rest in peace, honey.
Thank you, Jacinta. What a beautiful love letter. Beautiful. I would like to welcome up Venice, please.
Oh, this is harder than what I thought. Okay. My first memory of was, we were at the Warrnambool beach and Warren made me a race car sandcastle. It was the most awesome sandcastle. It was a piece of art. You had to see this thing. It smooth back edges, had the number on it. I even had a steering wheel made of sand. Pudgy might have been in on it too, I don't know. But for years I had photos and I couldn't find them for today. I was pretty annoyed. But that was Waz's first prime art that I'd ever seen. Then my next memory was Carter's farm. We lived at Caniva and Was working on Fred. Always working on Fred, that's all my memory. And he was really anal with his tools because I broke one day and I found out how anal he really was. All his tools were always in his place. And it was when he taught me that, how dare you call it just a motorbike? His name's Fred. Then was a Kawasaki freak to the point we had a hedge that lined our driveway and it was incredible. You had to have seen this hedge. He wrote Kawasaki in the hedge. I don't know how he did it, whether he had a chainsaw. Like to this day, because I'm only a little tacker and they say that kids' memories are only 10% correct, but it was beautiful. It was just pristine. You had to see Kawasaki all the way down the drive. And Mum got a photo once. So proud of it. Every letter was thick, just like the Kawasaki emblem. He must have used a chainsaw. Then he went out the back of the backyard one day and there's this huge round hole and it was perfectly round, and I mean deep as this stage. And I said to Woz, what's that? And he said, I'm digging a hole to China. Don't know if he was. I've got no idea what the hole was about, but whenever Mum come yelling for me, I could just run and jump in that hole. She couldn't even see me. And I just loved that hole. On a hot day, it was nice to sit in. Then my next memory was one day playing with Fred, and it was like an old door, or could have been a plank of wood, up against the shed. And Woz had finally got Fred going. And he said, want to go for a ride? And I said, yeah. And he said, all right. And he set up a rope off the back of Fred and tied this door to it. Sat me on the door and rode round slow in the paddock. Then Rick had come out and he wanted to go. Rick had to go. He went up and back, but by the time he got back, there was a split in the door. Then everyone come out, and it was like an executive decision. Car bonnet's the way to go. And I can't remember what pulled the car bonnet, but getting airborne on a cow pad was just the best. It was just the best. You had to be there. And it just become a big family thing. Warren's art was to die for. he did this Winchester like a Marlborough man in copper, and it was punctured in, if my memory's correct, like etched in. Yeah, it was amazing. It was either the Winchester man or the Marlborough man. You had to see it. But he did it better than the actual picture itself. His art was amazing. I remember when Woz had his accident, when he was in the wheelchair a lot. And Rick and I used to always get our back up. Anyone who looked at our brother like that, how dare they look at our brother like that? So whenever Woz was out and we're in shopping centres, Rick and I'd jump in the wheelchair. And we'd wait till people were looking at us, and then we'd jump out of it and pay them out just for looking at us. We were really protective of Woz. And then I remember the night of the accident. I remember the police coming to the door. We were all in bed, or I was. I remember them knocking on the door, that typical cop knock. I remember what Mum was wearing. She was in a big, long, white flowing nightie. We were all standing at the back of her. We got to watch Mum thump this cop on the chest and scream, "No, no, no," before she fell to her knees. So I just want everyone to know that whenever you think your life is unfair and you want to have a whinge and a gripe about what fair is, I want you to think it was as soon as the word unfair comes to your head. Because unfair is really watching the driver of that car go on to live a full life, get married, have children. That's unfair. The children of Warrens we never got to meet. That's unfair. Yeah, the life Woz never got to have, all because he just trusted a mate one night. So, yeah, your lives aren't unfair. No whinging. Whenever you think you got it tough, think of Woz and what Woz got. Thank you.
Thank you, Venice. I don't know, not a dry eye in the room hearing these stories, hearing the sharing about a dear man. So true. Carolyn from the Lodge, if you'd like to come and share. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Carolyn Mackenzie, and I had the great fortune of knowing Warren, for a long time. I first met him at the daycare centre at the hospital, where he used to charm all the old ladies, and you know what his charm was very much like, the little twinkle in his little eye all the time. And he was just so easygoing. He got along with everybody, no matter what gender, no matter what age, he got along with you. He was a wonderful bloke. I'm going a little bit off script because I'm sorry. And his favourite thing with me, anytime you'd walk into the lodge and he'd go, "Oh, do you want a seat?" And he'd go, "I've got one for you." Every time. And he was such a cheeky little beggar. And I'd go, "I'm a little bit too heavy for your leg. I think you'll have a broken one." But he would always do it. Everybody, he did it too. Little tap on the knee. "Do you want a seat? I've got one." And he knew lots of daggy dag jokes, and he'd pull them on you too. And you get suckered in so easily, because he was just so deadpan, and he could tell it really, really well. And cooking, if you did cooking with him and you'd ask him to keep an eye on something. That's not quite what I meant, Warren. But he was just a dag. And a wonderful bloke. You didn't really ask him to stir anything on the stove because he'd sometimes come up with a few jokes and tell something, you know, the food, the joke. Not what you meant, not what you meant. And talking of cooking, he loved his cooking and he was my taste tester. I can't have flour. So, of course, if I made anything with flour in it, cakes, biscuits, gravy, he was my taste tester. Soups, he used to love it. But biscuits, by heavens, handfuls at a time, it was nothing. For you turn your back, where'd they all go to? I'm sure that was a full tray. Little cheeky Warren wandered off with his cup of coffee in one hand and a handful of biscuits in his pocket. Yes, he was always doing things like that for us. And he'd be chopping up his muesli for his breakfast. He used to get the main ingredient through Jacinta, the rolled oats, and he'd make up his own muesli. And he'd be there chopping, huge knife, nothing small for Warren. It was a big butcher's knife. And he'd be chopping the pieces of fruit, dried fruits. He'd be chopping them away. Never cut his fingers. No, he knew what he was doing. You just leave him to it and let him pour it all in, nuts and what have you. And he'd had that for his breakfast, if he ever had breakfast. But breakfast in the mornings, what was it, Jackie? Coffee. Always had to have his coffee. He'd come out with his Hugh Hefner dressing gown on, because we used to stir him up about that, and he'd always come out with a coffee in his hand. And he'd always have one, sometimes two, sometimes he'd push it and try and have three, but we'd try to sort of cut back on that. Have a bit of water instead. But you'd have to challenge him to have a drinking competition with you, to have a big, tall glass of water, just so he could dilute the coffee a little bit. He was just... The music, oh, fantastic. I'm useless at music. I know the words, I know the song, you know how it goes, but I'd never know who it was, what band it was, what year it came out. He'd know every time. We'd play games, wouldn't we, Damien? We'd try and come up with a song and we'd start singing, oh, that was so-and-so, such and such a year. He was right. I'd have to Google it to find out whether he was right, but he was right. And he was so switched on. And he loved his birthday cake that we did for his 60th. It was decorated with Pink Floyd on it, with a little logo on it and a layer cake. And his mum and his dad came along and a few others. I did invite quite a few, but with COVID and everything, I think it was just a bit tricky at the time. But he had a fantastic time. And he talked about it for ages. And that's why the pictures down below in the frame, we did that up for his 60th, so that he had something to celebrate. So he loved all the music. Peter put all his CDs, because he had a stack of CDs, put them onto his iPad so he could just listen to them any time. Like when he was doing his jigsaws or his diamond art. He did diamond art. He did an amazing picture of 4 or 5 really colourful birds, and he decorated, like he did the diamond art. Sometimes you'd have to refocus him, but he ended up, he did it, and it was fantastic, and so good that he sold it to one of the staff members, and Jen still got it, and he made the frame for it at the men's shed, because he just was that sort of guy. He followed it through, and he did it, and it's still wonderful. And he looked like looking up solar systems and things like that on his iPad. He'd just come out with this little bit of knowledge that he'd just thought, oh, did you know such a... Oh, no, I didn't know that. Well, come and have a look at this. He'd go and have a little look, and of course, you know, he'd found it. He found the site, and he knew what he was talking about. But he's just such a diamond in the rough, I call him. He loved going to the local mechanics. Well, you know what, as his sisters have said, he loved his motorbikes. And he also loved cars, not quite as much, but he loved his motorbikes. And we ended up with a little small engine in the room that he used to go into. And he'd tinker away with that. And the tools had to be, as his sister said, set up specifically. And heaven help you if you chucking up his tools, you'd be in strife. But he tinkered away and he was happy. He was wonderfully happy. And he's going to be sadly missed. I miss him terribly. I haven't seen him for a long time, and it's hard to say goodbye, but he's always going to be in our hearts, and he's going to be in our minds. And if we're having a rough time, well, we know that he's going to be up there on his, looking over our shoulder. Do you want to see? Because you know what he's like. So Warren, here's to you, mate. It's been a pleasure knowing you. Godspeed, sweetheart. I'm going to miss you. Take care.
Everyone's sharing so beautifully today, just different snippets of who he was, precious. I'd like to read from Kay Garrigan, another connector, a woman that knew him from the lodge, I believe. This is really lovely. Hello, my name is Kay Garrigan. Firstly, I'd like to thank Jacinta and family for letting me talk of Warren Wazza. I knew Warren for approximately 12 years. This man had a heart of gold. I miss him terribly. The greetings I'd get each morning, he'd pucker up his lips and his arms would come out at me, stating he wanted a kiss. My reply was, I'm a married woman, was. He'd have the best of the cheeky grins and cackle. In these years full of kindness, laughter and jokes pulled on me. One time my son gave Wazza some chili. Waz loved it, but other people didn't, wondering what was going on with their tea and not enjoying it. Here was Wazza, a smile from ear to ear. When our eyes contacted each other's, he broke into a mischievous cackle. Then I knew that damn chili. I just had to walk away, shaking my head, saying, you've done it again. Oh, no, no. Honestly, it was a blessing to be with Warren all in those years. Time did fly. There were so many happy times with Warren. Locking me out of the house. We went to Adelaide for a Suzi Quatro concert. I don't know how the buttons in my car survived. I wasn't worried as long as Waz was happy. I don't think of Warren as gone. I think he's beginning a journey of resting from his past griefs and tears. He's now in a place of warmth and comfort, knowing not our sadness from our hearts. I think of him touching the hearts of people he loved. Dear Wazza, thinking of you, mate, Rowie, Kay, and Mark. So thank you for that letter. This is really beautiful. Rebecca has put together a photo slideshow. So if you'd like to turn to the screen and enjoy this.
Miss your voice, miss your smile, everything about you worth the while. Always wondering where you are. I hope you're with us, near or far. Many questions unanswered. I guess we'll never know. But now you belong to heaven. It's empty without your smile. The truth brings us to tears. Oh, the
He really did have a glint in his eye, didn't he? I must say, he rocked the mullet quite well. I like those photos going back. Just want to share a couple of thoughts before we close this moment of celebrating a dear man to you all. When we lose someone, it can make us hold those in our life a little tighter, those around us in this room and those near and far. We make the most of moments we have with others. We have greater gratitude for those that are present. I felt to encourage you, obviously we're celebrating Warren's life today, who you loved, and also a reminder to love well those nearest and dearest right here. In our grief, to be a strength to one another. I have 2 teenage boys, and there's other mums here in the room with teenagers. And as boys, there's words that aren't always spoken. The conversation can be quite, how's your day? Good. Doesn't extend much on that. And I had my son a couple of days ago say to me, Mum, I just want to tell you I love you. And you're the best mum I could ever have. And this is from a boy who, when I tell him to do a job, I get grunts, no words. Words are powerful. They matter. So today I encourage you, tell someone near to you, I love you. You matter to me. Make these words count to those that are here. Words are powerful, to love each other and build each other up. Love can be shown in many ways. And it says in the Bible, it shares about what love is in 1 Corinthians 13. I'll just read. And it almost reads it poetically. Love endures long and is patient and kind. Love never is envious nor boils over with jealousy, is not boastful or vainglorious, does not display itself haughtily. It is not conceited, arrogant, prideful. It is not rude and does not act unbecomingly. Love does not insist on its own rights or its own way. It is not self-seeking. It's not touchy or fretful or resentful. It takes no account of evil done to it. It does not rejoice in injustice, but rejoices with truth. Love bears up under anything and everything that comes, is ever ready to believe the best in every person. Its hopes are fadeless under all circumstances, and it endures everything. Love never fails. Love is powerful. Love is important. It's important your love that you had for Warren. It's important you have for one another. God's love for you never fails, never ends, never fades in the same way. The Bible talks of this love in John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. Today you are loved by one another and you're loved by God. I'd like to close and pray. God, we thank you for the life of Warren. We thank you that you made him so special. I thank you that in the midst of our heartache, you are here with us. Thank you that you are a God that can bring complete peace, that you do care. We have the assurance and certainty through our faith in God that this isn't the end. We know there is eternity to come. With faith in Jesus, we have life and have it more abundant. God, you've blessed and enriched our lives in giving us Warren to know and love here on earth. I ask that you surround the family and loved ones all gathered here today with your peace. In Jesus' name, amen. Warren, we will forever remember you. I'd like to welcome up the girls from Wattle Range Funerals and the pallbearers. You may feel free to come forward. Join us here. As he was a lover of puzzles, I believe he had countless puzzles that he did, and many weren't completed. And so today, rather than putting a piece of a flower on his coffin as we say our goodbyes, you are able to take a puzzle piece with his name on it and put it on his coffin as we say goodbye in the foyer shortly. Thank you, Matt. If you'd like to play the song, of course. Susie Quattro, Stumbling In. And please, everyone, stay for afternoon tea after the service as we say our goodbyes. Thank you.
Our love is a flame, burning within. Now and then, firelight.
You may stand if you wish as we see him out.
Wherever you go, whatever you do, you know these reckless thoughts of mine are following you. I'm falling for you, whatever you do. 'Cause baby, you've shown me so many things that I never knew. Whatever it takes, baby, I'll do it for you. Our love is alive, and so we begin. Foolishly laying our hearts on the table, stumbling in. Our love is a flame, burning within. Now and then, firelight will catch us stumbling in. You were so young, oh, and I was so free. I may have been young, but baby, that's not what I wanted to be. Well, you were the one. Oh, why was it me? 'Cause baby, you showed me so many things that I'd never seen. Whatever you need, baby, you got it for me. Our love is alive, and so we begin. Foolishly laying our hearts on the table, stumbling in. Our love is a flame, burning within. Now and then, firelight will catch us stumbling in. Stumbling in. Stumbling in. Foolishly laying our hearts on the table, stumbling in. Ah, stumbling in. Stumbling in. Now and then, firelight will catch us stumbling in. Oh, stumbling in. I'm stumbling in. Foolishly laying our hearts on the table, stumbling in. Oh, stumbling in. Ah, stumbling in. I'm stumbling in. We were stumbling in. Now and then, firelight will catch us stumbling in. Our love is alive,